How's it going, everyone? It's your host, Video Game Junkie, bringing with a brand new video today. And today's topic is, what is going on between the US and the North Koreans? Now, yes, I know this is not a typical review video or something that's going on in the video game world. This is something more drastic and what I think should be discussed primarily more than video games at the moment because of what is prepared to happen. But yes, don't worry, I do have some game clips recorded. Don't worry, you're going to be watching all the fun today. Without further ado, let's roll along to the games and the news. North Korea, or officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, is a country in East Asia constituting the northern part of the Korean peninsula. Pyongyang is the nation's capital and largest city. But speaking of which today, North Korea is seriously examining a strike near Guam. North Korea is seriously examining a plan to launch a missile strike targeting an area near the U.S. territory of Guam in response to U.S. President Donald Trump's warning to Pyongyang that any additional threats will be met with, and I quote, fire and fury. According to a new statement from General Kim Ra-gun published by the state-run media and the KCNA Thursday, the North Korean Strategic Force of the Korean People's Army, or KPA, is seriously examining the plan for indulging a strike at Guam through stimulated fire of 4 Hwasong 12 intermediate-range strategic ballistic rockets in order to interdict the enemy forces on major military bases on Guam and a signal to crucial warning to the U.S., the statement said. The sudden escalation in tensions in the Pacific came after U.S. intelligence analysts assessed that North Korea has now produced a miniature nuclear warhead, which means this is like smaller than a cruise missile, smaller than a Tomahawk, according to multiple sources familiar with the analysis of North Korea's missile and nuclear program. Last month, Pyongyang tested 2 ICBMs, or known as the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, known as the Hwasong 14, which says are capable of hitting the U.S. mainland. In response to the missile test, the UN Security Council passed a resolution imposing new sanctions. The resolution, which targets North Korea's international revenue streams, were passed anonymously after strong lobbying from the United States. The U.S. separately announced sanctions on North Korea alongside Iran and Russia. KCNA said that the KPA spokesman had fully warned the U.S. against its all-round sanctions. Which, oh boy, I don't like that. According to the KCNA statement, North Korea will plan to send Hwasong 12 missiles toward Guam by mid-August and report it to the Commander-in-Chief of the DPRK nuclear force and wait for his order. Kim Jong-un is understood to be the Commander-in-Chief of the nuclear force. The Hwasong 12 rockets to be launched by the KPA would cross sky above Shinmin, Hiroshima, and the Kyushu province of Japan and would fly 3,356.7 kilometers for 1,065 seconds and hit the water 30 to 40 kilometers, which is 18 to 24 miles from Guam, according to the statement. There is no indication from the KCNA statement that Hwasong 12 missiles pointed at Guam will be tipped with nuclear warheads. The U.S. does issue a new warning with the KCNA published and a wire criticizing Trump for having let out a load of nonsense about, and I quote, fire and fury, failing to grasp on the ongoing grave situation. This is extremely getting on the nerves and the very housing artillerymen of the KPA Korean People's Army. This article goes on to state that sound dialogue is not possible with such a guy, bereft of reason, and only absolute force can work on him. The latest threat comes on the heels of the previous KCNA report that North Korea's military was examining the operational plan to strike areas around the U.S. territory of Guam with medium to long-range strategic ballistic missiles. Specifically, the statement mentioned a potential strike on the Andersen Air Force Base designed to send a series warning signal to the U.S. Which means that is what it's saying is that Air Force Base will be the first to be hit in Guam. The base is one of the 2 on the Pacific Island which are closest bases on U.S. soil to North Korea and represents the westernmost tip of the country's military might. Dubbed the tip of the spear, Guam is a key to the U.S. military's forward deployed presence in the Pacific and is home to thousands of American service members and their families. It is important to decline since World War II, given the great creation of military bases in Japan and South Korea, says Carl Schuster, a Hawaii Pacific University professor and former director of operations at the U.S. Pacific Command Joint Intelligence Center. Now is essentially a staging area which sees rotations of bomber groups coming through. Basically, what it sounds like is North Korea is really getting to the point where they want to bomb us and stuff. And that's something I cannot go with. Like, something I don't want to happen. And, like, it's really gonna, I mean, dang. But, and then other news also, nuclear armed, North Korea mocked President Donald Trump, a bereft of reasons, raising the stakes in their standoff with an unusually detailed plan to send a salvo of missiles toward the U.S. territory of Guam. Which that means the scheme to target the island as a key U.S. stronghold was intended to signal a crucial warning, as only absent fear would have an effect on the U.S. leader. Then that's what the North said. Earlier, Trump stunned the world with a bold-faced message to leader Kim Jong-un that appeared to borrow from Pyongyang's own rhetorical arsenal, saying that North faced fire and fury like the world has never seen. The War of Worlds over Pyongyang's nuclear and missile programs is raising fears of a miscalculation that could lead to catastrophic consequences on the Korean Peninsula and beyond. Oh my god, last month the North Korean carried out 2 successful tests of the ICBMs, bringing much of the US mainland within its range and all. Trump's fire and fury remarks were a load of nonsense, said General Kim Rak-gun, the commander of North's missile forces, according to Pyongyang's official Korean Central News Agency. And basically what he says was, sound dialogue. It's not possible such a guy bereft of reason he had in that statement. Jeez, like, during the Cold War in the 1980s, the Soviet Union sent unarmed missiles to come down in the Pacific with 100 kilometers of Hawaii. And it says a North Korean launch towards Guam would put the U.S. in a dilemma. If it did not attempt to intercept the missiles, its credibility would be damaged, and the North would feel emboldened to carry out a full-range ICBM test. But if an intercept was attempted and any of the rockets to go through, it would undermine the effectiveness of the United States ballistic missile defense. This is a co-serve threat to halt B-1 flights. Adam Mount, senior fellow of the Center for American Progress, said on Twitter. Unlike Trump's vague incendiary threat, DPRK's is cohesive, clear, Pacific, and has credit escalation potential. Response is difficult, which means North Korea is a force we want to be careful with, because if their 2 ICBM tests were that successful, they could possibly take us out. But there was also talk about General Mattis was talking about North Korea today, and it's just weird. But if some of y'all don't know, he is the 26th and current United States Secretary of Defense serving in the Trump administration. He is a retired United States Marine Corps general who previously served in the 11th Command of the United States Central Command, who was responsible for American military operations in the Middle East, Northeast Africa, and Central Asia from August 11, 2010 to March 22, 2013. But just hearing about what North Korea is up to is really something you want to be careful with. But like, he warns North Korea not to invite destruction of its people. If Kim Jong-un won't listen to President Trump, then maybe Mad Dog can make him heal. Secretary of Defense James Mad Dog Mattis echoes his boss's fury warning Wednesday to the dictator of North Korea with harsh rhetorical of his own, and this time the words came from a battle-tested 4-star United States Marine Corps general. General Mattis says, and I quote, "The DPKR should cease any considerations of actions that would lead to the end of its regime and the destruction of its people," end quote. The DPRK, must choose to stop isolating itself and stand down its pursuit of nuclear weapons, Mattis has said that in a statement. saying that the DPRK should cease any consideration of actions that would lead to the end of its regime and the destruction of its people. He also provided a powerful follow-up to Trump's warning that Pyongyang would face fire and fury should it continue to test missiles, build nuclear warheads, and threaten to attack the United States. Lest anyone think Trump was speaking without the counsel of his top military man, Mathis said Trump is well aware of the depth of the North Korean threat. I mean, it's just something you got to be careful with. It's just something you got to watch out for. And then President Trump was informed of the growing threat last December, I want to say. And on taking office, his first orders to me emphasize the readiness of our ballistic missiles defense and nuclear deterrent forces. What Mathis was continuing. What he also continued was, while our State Department is making every effort to resolve the global threat through diplomatic means, it must be noted that the combined Allied militaries now possess the most precise, rehearsed, and robust defensive and offensive capabilities on Earth. The DPRK regime's actions will continue to be growingly overmatched by ours and would lose any arms race or conflict it initiates. Tuesday's report that Pyongyang had missile-ready nukes combined with months of missile tests and threats from Kim has brought the world to the brink. Publishing sanctions passed last week by the UN only served to increase Pyongyang's hostility towards the world and particularly the US. Kim Jong-un is believed to control up to 60 nuclear ICBMs, and the North Korean regime has conducted 12 tests so far this year, with one ICBM test conducted in late July, sending a missile 2,300 miles into space and 45 minutes into the air. It was the longest and farthest ballistic missile test in the history of North Korea. Trump leveled his initial threat on Tuesday after the report that North Korea is closer than previously believed to making good on its threats. North Korea best not make any more threats to the United States, Mr. Trump told reporters at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, where he's spending much of the month on a working vacation. They will be met with fire and fury like the world has never seen, he quotes. Trump follows his threat with a tweet Wednesday declaring the U.S. is more than ready for war. He says, my first orders as president was to reinvent and modernize our nuclear arsenal. It is now far stronger and more powerful than ever before, Trump tweeted. Hopefully we will never have to use this power, but there will never be a time we are not the most powerful nation in the world. So basically what it sounds like is, if North Korea does launch an ICBM at us, like if they launch just one at us, then they're gonna be met with fire. It's not even cool. It's not even funny. Like, we will wipe them out, but at what cost? Like, how big our losses would be. There's a reason why we signed the armistice, so we don't go to war again. So we don't make the same mistakes we made in the past. We want to change our history. But if we go to war, I will be the first one there to enlist. I will be the first one to sign up because I want to be there to defend my constitution and freedom from foreign and domestics. So if anyone keeps talking like that, like if North Korea does not stop, then they will be met with the deadly force by the U.S. military and arsenal of nuclear warheads that we have. But that's just a little. I know this was just a random video. Like it wasn't a video that we used to talk about. It's something something I wanted to talk about. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment down below if you did, subscribe for more videos to come upload, and make sure you check out my Vice President's channel. She makes a wonderful special effects animations and stuff. It's just wonderful. Just I can't stop bragging about her. She's one of my best friends from high school, and I'm glad she's helped me take over this to help me run the channel for me also. But yeah, if you did enjoy, leave a like down below. Leave a like, comment below, subscribe for more. Oh, and Navon, if you're watching this, you're about to see yourself get killed again. You're about to see yourself get killed when I launch a rocket at you. This is your host, Video Game Junkie, signing off, and I'll see y'all in the next video.